Hey everyone, welcome to the Virtual Executive Director podcast. My name is Becky Caldwell and I'm your host. I am an executive coach for mission-driven leaders and I serve as the actual executive director of the Virginia Highlands Festival in Abingdon, Virginia. So in this season of self-isolation, lockdown, quarantine, whatever we globally decide to call this this period of COVID-19, I've been taking this opportunity to revisit the virtual executive director business model. And if I'm honest with you and myself, which I always like to be, I'm not having the impact that I wanted to have with this. So I started Virtual Executive Director, the business, because I found myself in a leadership position dealing with the craziest shit. Oh, by the way, there will be cussing in this week's episode. And I thought, if I'm having to deal with this, there are probably lots more leaders out there who could use a coach to teach them how to effectively deal with those crazy shit moments. Thinking back, the moment for me that solidified the desire in me to launch this podcast and this coaching service was it was in the morning, a Monday morning. So Monday morning, let's set that parameter right now. It was a Monday morning and my organization was going through it was going through a major change in one of our operations. And something must have happened over the weekend that I was not aware of until the board president showed up at my office and sat in my office and told me that my job was to do exactly what she told me to do and nothing more. And all I could think of to say in that moment, because you sit there on Monday morning, first thing, and hear someone say that to you who you thought respected you and your position and your expertise. And the first thought that ran through my head was, who hurt you over the weekend? Who hurt you? So that whole conversation did not go well, by the way. And the moment she left, I came home and started day drinking. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to handle things like this. And that's when Virtual Executive Director was born. So fast forward now to, what is it, like 3.5, three or 4 years later. I really don't know how long it's been. But gosh, I think it's been 4 years. Yep. 4 years. 4 years later, here we are. But I'm still not reaching all the people that I wanted to reach. And I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm limiting myself to nonprofit. And look, I know there are a lot of nonprofits out there globally. In the United States, there's at least 1.5 million of them. But during this time of COVID-19, I've been noticing that for-profit businesses have a lot to learn from nonprofits. Because, things are hard right now all over the place, but I kind of feel like nonprofits are handling this way better than a lot of for-profit businesses are, because we're used to doing a lot with very little. And so I thought, okay, you know what, let's just try it out. So I'm trying it out. I'm expanding to include any mission-driven business leader. It's still really important to me that they be mission-driven, because look, I don't know how to relate to that profit-only shit. I don't know how to relate to it, so I can't help them. But I'm super great at working with mission-driven people, and I love it. It makes my heart sing, and I feel like we can get a lot done together. So, okay, so what does this mean for you, the audience, listening to Virtual Executive Director? I'm going to be bringing more content that is mission-driven business leadership in general, and less that is specific to nonprofit. Go back, if you are a nonprofit and you've just discovered this podcast, go back and listen to the previous 2.5 years of episodes, and there's a ton of practical, tactical content in there for you. Moving forward, it's going to be a bit more, more sort of globally like mission-driven business and not nonprofit specific. Okay. That's what will happen with the podcast and with any other content that I create. A couple of other things are going to happen. Number one, I'm closing down Patreon. And I mean, I may change my mind and open it back up, but for now, it's taking up time and energy that is just not seeing the result. It's not a good ROI for me. After 1.5 years of having Patreon, I have only 3 patrons, and one of them is my spouse. So for whatever reason, it's not a platform that's connecting with my audience. So I'm going to just stop funneling time and energy into it. To my stalwart patrons, Janet Stark and Brendan Caldwell, my husband, thank you for your support, and especially thank you to Marjorie Moore. Marjorie has been a Patreon patron since the moment I opened it up, and I appreciate so much that, I mean, she really has kept me going with this. And Marjorie, oh, I love you so hard. And someday we're going to be in the same room and I'm going to tackle you with a huge hug. I appreciate every dollar that came in to keep the podcast up and running. Because guys, it's not free to produce a podcast, even though I did not purchase the microphone that I'm using. I'm borrowing it from my friend Billy, who is a heavy metal screamo singer. It's sort of on indefinite loan to me, but I do still have to pay for hosting and editing and those things. So and marketing. So so thank you for supporting the podcast through Patreon. And I'm shutting it down at the end of April. So there's that. I am also expanding membership in the Executive Director Mastermind group on Facebook. So up until now, it has only been for nonprofit leaders. And moving forward, it will also be available to any mission-driven business leader. So you don't have to be a certified B Corp, but you do need to be mission driven. And I will have, I'm reformulating the questions that I ask for membership to reflect that. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see kind of what that new influx of energy and perspective adds to our nonprofits who are already there. So if you're interested, just search Facebook for Executive Director Mastermind. And I'll also include a link to the group in the show notes. Okay, so with all that said, this week's episode is about what for-profit businesses can learn from nonprofit businesses. Because now that I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to welcome for-profits into my orbit. I am salty about everyone trying to get nonprofits to act more like, quote, real businesses. You guys, nonprofit is just a tax designation. We are all real businesses here. So while I'm transitioning to include more expertise and support for all mission-driven business leaders, I'm going to take this episode to pump up nonprofits in particular with a list of I think eight things that for-profit businesses would do well to learn from nonprofit businesses. And here we go. Okay, number 1, how to be mission driven. So those of us in nonprofit, we know how to be mission driven, how to stay focused on what matters. This makes it really easy to say no to the opportunities that don't serve us, and also easy to say yes and to identify the opportunities that do serve us. And that's opportunities in the form of partnerships, sponsorship, revenue streams, any activity for your business. When you're mission driven, it is so much easier to stay focused. And I think there are some for-profit businesses out there that could really stand to learn that lesson. Number 2, how to work within people's passions and interests. So in the nonprofit industry, we typically don't have the salary level to attract people who are working just for money. We attract people to work with us because of what we do and the impact that we have on the world. And so we match their passion and interest with what we offer. And we're really good at it because we exist. Like, that's your number 1 indicator that we're good at it, because we do exist. So learn that from us. Number 3, we are really great at gauging and communicating our impact. I mean, we have to justify our impact every day, every grant application, every time we're on the news for something, every social media post, we're talking about our impact. We're measuring our impact. We're estimating our impact. We're creating logic models for our impact. And that's something that a for-profit business, they should really know their impact, positive or negative, on their community. And then know how to talk about it so that you can talk yourself up. Being able to talk about the positive impact you're having on your community is the best marketing you could possibly do. Number 4, we can teach you how to be more effective and creative with your resources. Believe it or not, no one has an unlimited budget. No one has an unlimited amount of time and energy and staff to do everything that they could possibly want to do. We are really great at doing a lot with very little. And I would like for us to be great at doing a lot with a lot. Wouldn't that be awesome? But the truth of it is that everything is, as abundant as everything is, there are still a lot of limitations. We don't have all the time ever to do something. We don't have all the money ever to do something. And so the more that we can identify, oh gosh, and like especially now, right? As things are closed, businesses are scaling back. I mean, like decimated businesses, right? Still functioning with 10% of what they had before. So you can learn a lot from us how to be effective and creative with what you have and to still fulfill your mission. Number 5, how to advocate for yourself. We are so good at that, aren't we? As nonprofits, we are super good at advocating for ourselves. We go to our legislatures. We go to Congress. We go lobby other businesses, other organizations. We are constantly talking about our impact, going back to number 3, and how it positively benefits our community and our world, and therefore you, government, you, corporate sponsor, you, individual donor, can feel really great about supporting us. So learn how to advocate for yourself from us. Number 6, we are great at thanking people. You can learn how to thank people from nonprofits. We are so good at it. We constantly are thanking our donors, our volunteers, our sponsors. We come up with some of the most creative ways to thank people. And because we don't have any money, it's not like we can buy everyone gifts, right? So we write letters, we put out videos, we get kids to create a drawing and send it out. I mean, we do all kinds of things to thank people. And when you thank people, when people feel appreciated and recognized for their efforts, they are happier. And as we know, if you don't know, learn it. Read The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. When we are happy, we do better. We are more successful. We are more efficient. We are more accurate. So all of that comes from thanking people. We are in a thank you economy, and nonprofits are really good at it. Number 7, how to ask for and receive help. This is a thing you can learn from us because we work with volunteers. We work with boards of directors. We ask for donations all the time, which is a form of help. And look, no one gets successful by themselves. We all have a support team of some kind. And those of us with really effective boards of directors, I'm happy to say the board I'm working with is amazing now. In spite of that story earlier, the board is amazing and effective and supportive. And I feel really comfortable asking them for help. And I think if you're starting a business, if you are running a business that you founded, having a group of advisors, having a mastermind, having those 5 or so people you go to for advice all the time, being in our executive director mastermind group, like these are all ways that we ask for help. And when we're willing to be vulnerable in that way, we can accomplish so much more and do it more effectively. So learn from us how to ask for and receive help. And the last one, which is really important right now, I think everyone's going to relate super well to this one. Learn from nonprofits how to build relationships that will sustain you through the tough times. I'm thinking in particular about our individual donors, which if you're a for-profit business, that would be customers for you. Build the relationships with them that you so that you can go back to them in times just like this and say, you know what, we're going through some stuff together, and your support in the form of donations or in the form of purchases means the world to me. And it's those kinds of relationships, that customer relationship, that will get you through the tough times. In addition to that individual relationship, relationships between businesses are vital. Those partnerships, which those of us in nonprofit, we are super great at building those partnership relationships too. That when we do, it's those partnerships that are helping us get through right now, right? Like, hey, I know that maybe it's like asking for a break on your rent because you've built a really solid business relationship with your landlord. Maybe it's banding together to funnel supplies to your local hospital. There are lots of reasons why building relationships, and this is networking 101, right? We should be doing this anyway. But I think nonprofits are probably a little bit better at it Actually, not a little bit, a lot better at it than for-profit businesses, because I don't know, we just don't have the, okay, I'm going to make a sweeping generalization right now, but we don't have the ego wrapped up in our business that maybe a lot of for-profit founders might have. Or I'm full of crap. And actually we do have the same ego issues. I'm thinking of founders in particular right now, because I work with a lot of founders, and I myself am a founder, and no matter how mission driven we are, there's still a lot of ego involved. So actually on that one, I'm kind of full of shit. Don't listen to me on that one. But the relationship thing in general, really important. Nonprofits are really awesome at it. Okay. Yes, I think so. Look, I've got COVID brain. I wonder if that's a thing. If it is COVID brain, where you've been isolated for so long that you just speak nonsense. I just happen to speak nonsense into a microphone and to send it out for everyone to listen to. Okay. So that last little tangent aside, I feel really good about these 8 things. I'm going to say them again so that they get into the collective memory. And if there's any that I forgot, or if you think I'm full of crap, let me know, because I'm open to hearing about that. So reviewing the list, the 8 things that for-profit businesses would do well to learn from nonprofit businesses. These 8 things are: how to be mission-driven, how to work within people's passions and interests, how to gauge and communicate impact, how to be more effective and creative with your resources, how to advocate for yourself, how to thank people, how to ask for and receive help, and how to build relationships that will sustain you through tough times. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you again to Marjorie, Janet, and Brendan for your Patreon support. And if you got some value out of this week's podcast, please share it with a friend or colleague. Leave a review so that other people can find it. And contact me. Email Becky@virtualexecutivedirector.com, or find me on Instagram, virtual_exec, or ask to join the Executive Director Mastermind on Facebook. I'm everywhere. So you can find me, communicate with me. I would love to hear your thoughts on what for-profits can learn from nonprofits, and your thoughts on combining all kinds of mission-driven businesses, regardless of their tax designation, so that we can come together and inspire each other and learn from each other. Thank you again for listening, for being part of this audience and this community. Remember, we shine brighter together.